calling all Marvel fans. If you want to see Robert Downey Jr. in other films, this is your ticket. Less than zero. See that man sitting down on the cover? That is the Iron Man himself, Robert Downey Jr. This film, released in 1987, in an era where teen films were all about romance, comedy, films like 16 Candles, and then the Brat Pack films like The Breakfast Club, and skippers like Ferris Bueller. But around the time Ferris Bueller came out, things started to get dark for the teen film genre, with films like River's Edge. Now, let's just say River's Edge was the start. By the end of the 1980s, things kind of went dark for teen films. River's Edge kind of kick-started it. In between films River's Edge and Heathers was this film, perhaps the darkest out of them all. I honestly think this is darker than Heathers, because, I mean, sure, Heathers is a dark comedy about killing people, but it's not realistic. Heathers wasn't that realistic. But this movie is. It was one of the first films in the teen genre to tackle drug addiction, and no one had ever seen a film like this before. I owe it all to Watch Mojo for making the top 10 countdown for Robert Downey Jr., because one of the performances that they talk about is Less Than Zero, where he plays Julian. Now, Less Than Zero is about Clay. He is a college boy who returns home to Beverly Hills for the winter break, or the Christmas break. And as he returns, he discovers his two closest friends, actually, no, his girlfriend, or ex now, and his childhood friend Julian are into the biggest drug in the 1980s, and that drug was cocaine. Now, at first, Clay doesn't really have a grasp on what's going on with Julian. Even though Blair tells him, Julian's in trouble with debt, some bad people he hung out with, and that he's addicted to cocaine, Clay doesn't really get a big grasp until pretty much towards the middle part, when a couple of Julian's friends pay him a visit, and they're like, "Hey, I'm looking for Julian. I know your girl, Blair. Don't know you. I just heard that you know Julian. Anyways, see you soon." So, as soon as Clay discovers the people that Julian is friends with, that's when he decides, we need to talk. What's going on, Julian? And it gets disturbing. It really does. This was a very mature teen film. I mean, yeah, sure, The Breakfast Club was a bit of a mature teen film. This one takes the word mature to what it's supposed to mean. More for adults. Well, I'd say this film's for high schoolers and adults, if you can handle some of the disturbing scenes involving Julian and his drug problem. I actually watched this movie with a friend of mine, and some scenes he was like, he actually was so shocked. He actually sat in his chair like this with his hands on his head going, "Oh man, what is going on here?" It's a sad movie, but it's a real good movie.